2005, 2006. So in the FACE conference in London 2004, I had postulated that we should be using hyaluronidase as well to break this down. So 2002, that was one of my patients that I sort of used. And when I contacted, I was QMed at the time, they said that there's no need to use it. And I said, well, there is actually, because if a child comes into me in ER dying of a poison and it belongs to your company, I'd need to know the antidote, you know. Anyway, hyaluronidase, we know it all at this stage, 1,500 units. It comes from snakes and from stonefish and bees, the venom. It comes from the top of sperm as well. So if you want to destroy tissue, you've usually got hyaluronidase associated. But it's also our friend because it's widely used after heart attacks. And of course, you can use it to disperse drugs. It's a good tip if you want to get your axillary hyperhidrosis, mix up some with it. It'll spread the Botox everywhere. But anyway, we use it in, I suppose, in medicine quite a lot to diffuse other drugs, particularly anesthesiologists use it to get a more widespread spread of anesthesia. They also use it in breaking down hematomas, and you can also use it during heart attacks, you know, for your drug. So it's a good drug. Now, mad cow disease hit Britain big time, 2003. The interesting thing is that the collagen was coming from young bulls in Texas and from rooster combs. So that set the problems in the United States from the point of view that they turned around and said, oh my God, it's possible that some of our cattle could have mad cow disease. And don't forget, at that stage, people were dying from it. They culled the whole British herd, 40 million cattle at the time, 2004. So, I mean, it was caused by prions as well, so it wasn't a bacteria. So this is what converted the United States over to using hyaluronic acid. So we started having a lot of American patients coming into Dublin for hyaluronic acid from all over the States, Des Moines, from New York, from California. We'd get about 5 or 6 patients a week in Dublin coming over. And of course, we had worked out as well how to remove it, and if there was a problem. And that's when, I suppose, Michael Jackson was sent to me originally by Arnie Klein. He wanted, I suppose, the hyaluronic acid taken out of his face. And that was before he met the Queen. And that was the opening of Casino Royale, 2006. And in the end, Michael shrinked out and didn't meet her because he was shy, believe it or not. Then in 2007, I sort of had advocated as well that hyaluronidase should be used. So we're running late at that stage.
This is with arterial embolus, and this is hyaluronic acid caught within an artery. If you get that, don't be afraid to inject hyalase. Inject, inject, inject. Everybody says to only use 30 or 50 units.
Martin at this stage as well. Up your
Put in 300,
remember
500
that.
units. You're going to cause no problem. You're trying to save a patient's face. You're going to try and save their sort of sight. Now, the thing is,
So hyaluronidase doesn't tend to destroy faces. That's a bit of a myth. So then in Moscow, we had that, and they had made things in Moscow called the Treacy protocol in Eastern Europe, and that's me being interviewed about it there for Russian television at the time, I think it was. So I had written letters as well. Our doses are far too low. It's all accepted now to use 1,500 and 3,000 during a vascular occlusion. Nobody thinks anything of it. I was trying to get people to move up from 75 and 150. You know what I mean? I know, but it's funny when you look back on it. It was the same thing as well. So then in Las Vegas, we had a meeting, Stephen Dan, Corey Mass, Neil Sadek, myself, and Claudia Doranzo, and they agreed with me after 7 years to put the doses up to 1,500 and that. So, I mean, that's all the way back then. That's, I suppose, some of my recent papers on hyaluronidase, along with George. And the Los Angeles Times did something on me recently and credited me with, I suppose, coming up with the product and whatever. And I got an award in Abu Dhabi in Pakistan for it as well. So it's not me that's saying it, they are. So this is, I suppose, some of the recent things we have.
here as well.
and how to make it up. But I think at this stage, everybody
if you
knows
know
how
this,
to
but I
use
have been wrong.
hyaluronidase. You know, it wasn't then. So they're the words I got for